Earth 4.6 billion years ago, 12 a.m. Earth was an ugly ball with dust and gas, and there was no life, no fossil, no water, no rock, because it was just formed and it was all magma. And I don't know what gas there were.
4.45 billion years ago, 1 a.m. 4.4 billion years ago, oceans were formed. The gas that were there was methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. Gas was formed from evaporite minerals like halite and gypsum. When ocean first formed, they were much more acidic than today's. When ocean formed, they absorbed a lot of CO2 gas. The more CO2, the more acidic.
Around 4.2 billion years ago, or 2 a.m., there was no life on Earth. The surface was all molten, but the continents were starting to form. The gases in the air was H2O, hydrogen, cyanide, ammonia, methane, sulfur, iodine, bromine, chlorine, and argon. The water was kept in the atmosphere as vapor due to high temperatures. The most common rock was igneous. There wasn't any evidence of fossils because there was no life on Earth around that time. There was also evidence in the sedimentary rock layers proving this time, and also evidence of rocks showing signs of being heavily metamorphosed.
4.1 billion years ago, there was no atmosphere. There was no life on Earth yet. The Earth was formed by a rain of asteroids and space rock. But the sun was still new and the Earth was molten.
The world's 3.9 billion years ago, 3 p.m. It was the Archean era. Asteroids hit the world a lot back then, and the Earth did not have enough oxygen for animals to live because there was lots of CO2 in the air. The sun was not strong back then. It did not have strong rays for the Earth to develop. Small islands were on Earth, and water was starting to form, but it was not too good. Gold forms from one asteroid that hit the Earth. The gold is what we have now. The rocks were the oldest rocks there. They were magma rocks called igneous rocks. Algae was on Earth that time. It's a certain kind of plant and bacteria. There was not much animals and plants back then, and that is the world 3.9 billion years ago.
3.75 billion years ago, 5 a.m. One of the first life was found on Earth. It is a single-celled organism that could be found deep under the sea or other harsh environments.
6.3 billion years ago, 6 a.m. Life began in the form of microscopic bacteria and blue-green algae, and is the earliest evidence of life found. Both bacteria and algae are found to have lived 3.6 billion years ago.
Earth 3.45 billion years ago. The Earth 7 a.m. The Earth was a toxic wasteland back then. Volcanoes spewed poisonous gas. The Earth's magnetic field was born by 3.45 billion years ago. Earth magnetic is really important to Earth because it protects all life on Earth.
3.3 billion years ago, 8 a.m. The evolution of bacteria changed the early Earth to the one we know today. There were sedimentary rocks, there were plants, there was water, and there were fossils.
3.15 billion years ago, the Earth was still forming and there were no people there. The apex chert was the earliest fossil, and the continents weren't moved yet, so yeah.
I formed 3 billion years ago, 10 a.m. There was not a lot of life form, and the gas that time was low, and the rock mostly was sedimentary rock. Prokaryotes, and most of the rock at that time were igneous because volcano was active at that time a lot, and lava was going to the ocean a lot, so making the world a lot of igneous.
Earth 2.7 billion years ago, 12 p.m. Earth had a lot of volcanoes and there was enough water for life to form. There was also carbon dioxide and oxygen in the air. Life forms were eukaryotes and stromatolites. Stromatolites are formed with sediments being formed in water. There was evidence found with fossils of like stromatolites and fossils of eukaryotes at the time. Iron formation was also found 2.7 billion years ago.
2.55 billion years ago, 1 p.m. There were blue-green algae living on Earth. The Earth was formed as a huge continent called Pangaea. Ancestor of bacteria and cyanobacteria was Prokaryotes. The Earth was almost covered by water, and igneous rock and volcanic rock was mostly seen on Earth. There were a lot of nitrogen and there were only few oxygen.
2.4 billion years ago, it is 2 p.m. Oxygen was released from the ocean to the oxygen levels we have now.
This is 2.1 billion years ago on Earth, 3 p.m. The Proterozoic Eon. That time, the Earth had 21% of oxygen and mostly was covered with 78% of nitrogen, and others were 1%. Trilobites were living in the Proterozoic Eon. There were fossils found, and eukaryotes are one living things that lived in the Proterozoic Eon.
1.9 billion years ago, 4 p.m. There was not enough oxygen for life to live, but some complex cells started to appear like eukaryote and prokaryote. Plants breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen.
1.6 billion years ago, 5 p.m. At this time, the life form that was alive is the blue-green algae. The air is filled with 78% of nitrogen and 20% of oxygen. The Earth's surface has 2 volcanoes and the plate tectonics is moving pretty fast. Metamorphic and igneous rock is the most common rock. This was the Proterozoic era.
0.1 billion years ago, the supercontinent was born, Pangaea, at 7 p.m. Never mind, do it again.
It's 8 p.m. 800 million years ago. Ice Age came in 800 million years ago. Glaciers spread it all around the world. There was a lot of life in Earth and plants grew.
650 million years ago, 9 p.m. The first life form was jellyfish, and the land was moving around to what we see today.
10 p.m. 400 million years ago. There was a big collision of the regions. North America and Greenland hit Europe, creating the mountains we now find in Norway, Scotland, and Greenland. Also, the first land plants and land creatures appeared. Microspirifer Micronapis is the index fossil from that time, and also jawed fish had appeared.
Tommy. Earth, 11 p.m. 0.2 million years ago. There was only one megacontinent called Pangaea. There was a huge release of carbon dioxide and a climate change. Suddenly, the life in the sea died. That's why there was carbon, because of the carbon and climate change. Dinosaurs were ruling this era.
2.8 million years ago, 11:59 p.m. and 3 seconds. Life forms in this time were the first chimpanzees and early humans. Fossils from that time were early humans. Types of rock, main types of rock, igneous rock. Amount of water, less than used to because of no supernova close to Earth. Gas content, nitrogen 78%, oxygen 21%, argon 0.9%, CO2 0.036%. We know We learned about this time because of the first humans.
2.65 million years ago, it was 11:59 minutes and 6 seconds. It's the Pliocene age, where corals, things, and living underground water lived, and there are fossils about them. North Pole started to drift downwards, and global warming started to happen, and the North Pole was just a plain land of ice, but now it has tundra and grasslands in North Pole.
4 million years ago, or 11:59 a.m. and 12 seconds. Around 2.58 billion years ago was a Pliocene Quaternary glaciation, which is still here today. The sea level back then was 25 meters higher than today, and the climate became cooler and drier. During that time, mammals were the dominant life form, and humans started to appear. With more life and evolution, the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere increased. The surface of the Earth is similar to what present-day Earth looks like, but had more ice. Many sedimentary rocks were commonly found, and also fossils of early humans and mammals. There was evidence of climate change and also fossils which supported the Pliocene epoch period to have lasted 5 million years to 1.6 million years ago.
2.25 billion years ago, the first modern human species was born. Geology scientists think organisms began to produce oxygen much earlier, but the oxygen was destroyed in reaction with volcanic gases and rocks.
1 million years ago, 11:59 minutes 15 seconds. During this time, there was the most volcanic eruptions. Some apes evolved to more human-like forms. Type of rock, metamorphic. There was water and plants, and life forms lived on land and sea.
1.95 million years ago, glaciers formed, resulting in ice age, and water was ample, so there was enough for animals to live in. Homo erectus also existed. Homo erectus is early form of human. Lots of life existed: plants, mammal, and birds. The gas there was 75%, and oxygen is nitrogen is 75%, and oxygen is 19%. 1.8 million years ago, 11:59 and 21 seconds. Homo erectus and Homo erectus are two types of evolution, turning into a human or starting to turn. Human erectus is a stage where it begins to walk upright, also known as upright human. Homo erectus is another stage where it begins to work like a human, also known as working human. Another thing in 1.8 million years ago is the Ice Age. The Ice Age has started, and it was in the Pleistocene period.
The Earth was still not formed yet. It did not look like what it was today, and the humans were still not on the Earth, and the oxygen was still lower than it is today, and the sea level was 14.6 below than it is today.
1.5 million years ago, 11:59 minutes and 30 seconds. The life form on Earth at this time was the humans and Earth, or Homo erectus. The evidence for this is they discovered footprints into 1.5 million years old sedimentary rock. The air is made up of 78% of nitrogen and 21% of oxygen. The salt and annually was common rocks at this time.
2.3 million years ago, 11:59 and 30 seconds, species Homo erectus, period Cretaceous era, Mesoproterozoic. There were fossil life and other living things.
Earth 1.1 million years ago, 11:59:33 seconds p.m. Well, Earth was more than one-fourth ice age, so it caused early humans to move to a new location. The rock was just example is there was igneous life, early ancestors, sea animals, and plants. There were fossils, and gas, oxygen, and I don't really know.
11:59 p.m. 39 seconds. 950 years ago. New life forms, Nordic man or caveman. Fossils from the time, caveman. Gas content, same as before. Amount of water, 71% of water. And new creations, first chapter of the Bible. Types of rock, main types of rock, metamorphic rock. We learned about this time because of caveman and the Bible.
820 years ago, Earth became warmer and ice melted down, sea became bigger, but desert expanded, and there were many sandstones. It was 11:59:47 seconds.
700 years ago. There is a plant called Pylocene. It is glowed in 700 years ago. It is the one of the Earth's oldest plant. 11:59 minutes 45 seconds.
At the time, the air was not toxic or poisonous, but the living things was cavemen, and that's all.
Earth 325,000 years ago, 11:59 minutes and 54 seconds. There was more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than there was today.
1,500 years ago, 11:59 minutes 57 seconds. The Earth at that time was hot, but not too hot that humans could not roam the Earth. Oxygen levels were high enough for humans to breathe, and the people began to form in Africa the most. Rock began to layer on the ground, and so there was layered dirt and plants. Plants were healthy and growing all around the land. There was plenty of water and land to roam and drink from. Humans were coming and forming many days, and animals could live and go to different lands and places.
11:59:58 seconds p.m. 110,000 million years ago. Fossil records 125 million years ago. Gases at that time to present were oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. The oldest fossil was found in China. The climate there was very warm and mild. Flowers bloom then, so this started an evolution of pollinating insects like bees. It also helped plant-eating dinosaurs have more range of food.
11:59:59 seconds, 50,000 years ago. Homo sapiens arrived in Central Asia in that time. The vast ice cap covered both polar regions of the Earth, and huge amount of water was withdrew from the ocean. The Earth exposed great areas of land that are now covered under the ocean again.
It's 12 a.m. in the morning, and it's present day.